Imagine walking through a crowded room, shouting at the top of your lungs, yet no one turns their head. You exist physically. You occupy space. You cast a shadow, but socially, you have been rendered transparent. For millions of men today, this is not a nightmare. It is their daily statistical reality. They believe they are just unlucky in love, or perhaps socially awkward. But the truth is far colder. They are victims of a system update that they didn't even know happened. We like to romanticize dating as a mysterious alignment of souls, a poetic destiny written in the stars, but if we strip away the poetry, we find machinery. Human mating is a market, governed by the same brutal laws of supply, demand, liquidity, and friction that rule the New York Stock Exchange. And just like a financial market, when the rules of trading change, certain assets that were once valuable can suddenly become worthless overnight. For 200,000 years, the human mating market was analog. It was slow, it was local, and most importantly, it was high bandwidth. You absorbed information about a person over months of interaction. But in the last 15 years, we forcibly migrated this economy from the analog village to the digital cloud. We moved from a barter economy of diverse traits to a high-frequency trading floor. In this digital migration, a specific asset class was wiped out, the overweight male. This video is not about body shaming. It is about market liquidity. In the old world, the obese man had time to prove his value. In the new world, the order book is visual only. If your visual bid does not clear the spread in milliseconds, you are delisted before your personality is ever priced in. Let's look at the calculus of rejection. Data scientists from OkCupid and Hinge analyzed millions of interactions to map the topography of desire. In a standard bell curve, 50% of men should be below average, but the data reveals a catastrophic skew. Women rate nearly 80% of men as below average. The curve is broken. But for the overweight man, it is not just a slope, it is a sheer cliff. Data from the National Longitudinal Study reveals the math of this cliff. As a man's body mass index moves from overweight to obese, the probability of romantic selection doesn't just dip, it collapses. This is a non-linear drop. At BMI 40, you don't receive a lower rating, you receive an almost zero. You are filtered out at the API level, rendered invisible before the game has even begun. But why is the rejection so total? It goes beyond aesthetics. It strikes at the core of your moral identity. Psychologists call this the horn effect. It is the dark inverse of the halo effect. When the human brain sees a symmetrical, lean face, it subconsciously assumes intelligence and kindness. But when it sees obesity, it doesn't just see excess weight, it sees a character flaw. Studies demonstrate that within milliseconds of seeing an obese man, observers statistically rate him as lazier, less intelligent, and more dishonest than his leaner peers. It is a biological prejudice rooted in our history. In the ancient world, gluttony was a sin of the elite. But today, in a world of cheap, infinite calories, the brain has flipped the script. In an environment of abundance, a lean body acts as a proof-of-work token. It signals high agency, the executive function required to delay gratification. Obesity signals low agency, a failure of impulse control. To the modern subconscious, your weight is not just a health metric, it is a credit default swap on your soul. You are viewed as a risky investment. But I have a great personality, you might say. I am kind, I'm funny. This is the tragedy of the threshold model. We are taught that personality is the primary driver of love. This is a comforting lie. The data shows that personality is a luxury good. It only becomes a variable after the necessity threshold of physical attraction is passed. Think of modern dating like an applicant tracking system for a corporate job. If your resume lacks the specific keywords, the hiring manager never even opens the file to read your cover letter. In the sexual economy, BMI is the key word. If you don't pass the visual gate, your humor, your kindness, and your dreams have a mathematical coefficient of almost zero. It wasn't always this merciless. Your grandfather didn't need six-pack abs to find a wife. He had a weapon that you have lost, Propinquity. This is the mere exposure effect. For thousands of years, attraction was a function of time and proximity. You didn't need to be the most attractive man in the village. You just needed to be there. MIT professor Thomas Allen discovered the Allen curve, proving that communication and connection drop to near zero when people are separated by just 50 meters. In the past, third places, bowling leagues, churches, unions forced you into that 50-meter radius with women for hours at a time, week after week. This forced interaction was the fat man's salvation. This forced proximity was your leverage. It allowed your non-visual assets, your stability, your wit, to slowly override the initial physical rejection. The mere exposure effect softened the visual blow. You didn't need to be hot, you just needed to be familiar. Propinquity was the great equalizer that allowed the average man to compete with the genetic elite. But we killed the third place. We replaced the bowling league with Netflix and the local pub with Hinge. We removed the architecture of forced interaction. The modern dating market is a zero propinquity environment. You are no longer judged on a curve of familiarity. You are judged on a static image. And in a static image, the obese man has no leverage. You are now judged in the 100 millisecond auction. Princeton researchers Willis and Todorov proved that the human brain makes judgments on trustworthiness and attractiveness in less than 1/10 of a second. This is faster than your conscious mind can even register a face. You are being processed by a biological algorithm that predates language. This decision happens in the amygdala, the reptile brain. It doesn't care about your promotion or your jokes. It scans for genetic fitness and health risks. An obese phenotype triggers a pathogen avoidance flag in the reptile brain immediately. It views asymmetry and inflammation as a threat to the gene pool. Dating apps are high-frequency trading for human DNA. In this hyper-fast visual market, body fat acts as market friction. You aren't being rejected after a thoughtful review of your profile. You are being delisted by the autonomic nervous system of the female brain before the opening bell even rings. But wait, you argue, I make good money, I can provide. This is the beta bucks fallacy, a relic of a bygone era. For 5,000 years, men could leverage resources to bypass physical unattractiveness. But the resource reversal has fundamentally broken this contract. The economic liberation of women has changed the currency of desire. As the gender wage gap narrowed and women gained financial independence, the utility of a provider dropped. When a woman has her own 401k, she doesn't need yours. Her mating criteria shift from resource acquisition to genetic fitness. She can now afford to prioritize attraction over security. The archetype of the fat rich man is obsolete. In a world where she pays her own mortgage, your wallet cannot negotiate with her desire. The market has shifted from a barter economy of money for security to a genetic economy of looks for looks. In this new economy, health is the only wealth that matters. And it gets worse. In the modern metropolis, you aren't just rejected, you are cognitively deleted. We can only maintain about 150 stable relationships, Dunbar's number. In a city of millions, the brain has to aggressively filter out 99% of the people it sees to save energy. It creates a hierarchy of attention. This is sensory gating. To the female brain in a high-density environment, a man with low visual mate value is filtered out as background noise. You become an NPC, a non-playable character. You take up physical space, you stand in line at the coffee shop, but you register zero salience. You are scenery. Eye-tracking studies confirm this bias. Visual attention is drawn to high-value targets and actively gated away from low-value targets. Without the forced interaction of the small village to break this trance, you never penetrate the sensory gate. You are shouting into a void that literally does not see you. But what if you escape the dating market? What if you are already married? Does the ring protect you? The data here is perhaps the most brutal of all. The domestic crash is real. Male obesity is statistically linked to a catastrophic drop in sexual frequency and female initiation within long-term marriages. It is a biological tragedy. Adipose tissue fat is not inert stuff. It is biologically active. It contains an enzyme called aromatase, which converts testosterone into estrogen. As a man gains significant weight, he literally feminizes his own hormonal profile. His testosterone crashes and his estrogen spikes. This kills polarity, the biological tension between masculine and feminine energy that drives primal desire. Your wife loves you, she cares for you, but her body ceases to respond to you. The relationship transitions from sexual to companionate. You become roommates who raise children and pay taxes together. Evolutionary psychology describes a pathogen avoidance mechanism. Significant obesity triggers a subconscious ick factor. A disgust sensitivity evolved to avoid mates with poor health markers. It is not malice. It is not superficiality. It is millions of years of survival coding firing in her brainstem, screaming genetic risk. So, where does this leave you? Is it hopeless? No. But you must understand the game you are playing. You are trying to sell an analog asset in a digital market. The system is rigged against the obese phenotype at every level: neurological, economic, and social. You cannot complain your way out of this. You have two options. Option A is the arbitrage. You must reject the digital market entirely, delete the apps. They are designed to filter you out in 100 milliseconds. You must find the few remaining pockets of propinquity left in the modern world to hack the system. You must force yourself into environments where you are physically present with the same women for weeks at a time. Volunteer groups, adult sports leagues, recurring classes. You need to buy time for your personality to bypass the reptile brain and reach the prefrontal cortex. You need to rebuild the village. Option B is the market correction. You change the asset, you lose the weight. This is the only way to re-enter the high-frequency market. When you drop the body fat, you aren't just getting healthier. You are removing the market friction that renders you invisible. You are clearing the spread. When you lose the weight, the horn effect vanishes. The world suddenly assumes you are smarter, funnier, and more honest. The NPC filter turns off and people start to look you in the eye. The testosterone returns, and the polarity in your relationship reignites. It is the closest thing to magic that exists. This is the raw, unvarnished truth. The world has changed. The village is gone, and the algorithm is king. You cannot negotiate with the algorithm. You can only adapt to it. To pretend otherwise is to fight a war against gravity itself. The system judges you in milliseconds, but you have the rest of your life to change the signal you are sending. The market is brutal, but it is also efficient. If you improve the asset, the market will reward you with liquidity. It will reward you with connection. Understand that your body is your primary interface with reality. In a digitized, fake world, your physical form is the only truth that cannot be faked. It is the ultimate signal of who you are and what you are capable of. It is your resume, your credit score, and your history all in one. The invisibility you feel is not a permanent state. It is a mathematical result of your current variables. Change the variables, and you change the outcome. The algorithm is not sentient. It is just code, and code can be hacked if you understand the inputs. You are not a victim of a cruel society. You are a participant in a mercilessly efficient economy. Now that you know the rules, the Allen curve, the horn effect, the 100 millisecond auction, you can finally stop playing a game you were destined to lose. The body positivity movement lies to you because it is polite. The market does not lie to you because it is indifferent. It simply reacts to what you present. Indifference is painful, but it is also fair. It gives you the roadmap to your own salvation. Your weight is not just mass, it is information. It tells the world a story about your agency, your health, and your value. If you don't like the way the world treats you, you must change the story your body is telling. You must become the author of your own physiology. Propinquity is the bridge. Weight loss is the toll. You must pay one or the other to cross the chasm of loneliness. There are no free passes in nature. The toll must be paid in sweat or in time. But the destination on the other side is worth the price. This stings, I know. It is meant to. Pain is information. The pain of invisibility is your brain telling you that your strategy is failing. Listen to the pain. Let it be the fuel that drives the engine of your transformation. The complex dance of mating, biology, and economics is not personal. It is just the way the machine works. You cannot dismantle the machine. You can only learn how to operate it. Once you know the buttons, you can play the melody you were meant to play. You have the power to delist yourself from the subprime category. You have the agency to become high value. It will be the hardest thing you ever do, but the market pays infinite returns to those who do the work. The dividends of discipline are paid in desire. Don't wait for the world to become kinder. It won't. Don't wait for women to lower their standards. They can't. It's biology. The only variable under your control is you. Be the light in your own darkness. The story of the fat man is a tragedy in the modern age, but the story of the man who woke up, understood the system, and rebuilt himself, that is a hero's journey. It is the story of Prometheus stealing fire from the gods. The physics of attraction are immutable. Gravity pulls and beauty calls. You can fight gravity and lose, or you can build wings and fly. The choice is yours. The sky is open, and the market is waiting for your new bid. You are not invisible. You are just hidden behind a wall of your own making. Tear down the wall or climb over it. But do not stand there and wait for a door to open. It is locked, and you hold the only key. Thank you for walking this path with me today. In an economy of distraction, your attention is the most valuable currency you possess, and I am honored that you chose to spend it here. If this signal cut through the noise for you, please consider liking and subscribing to help this channel survive the algorithm. I do not expect your loyalty instantly. I intend to earn your trust video by video, one hard truth at a time.